Casey Pratt here with a message about binding vote season. Now, the reason I started this hashtag, shout out Last Dive Bar for making this shirt, proceeds go to charity, is because what's happening on the field in 2022 for the Oakland A's is irrelevant. It doesn't matter. As The Rock would say, it doesn't matter what your record is. They have fallen below 500. It's going to stay that way all year. The offense is abysmal. They traded away all their players. The attendance is down, blah, 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 blah. Forget it all. It means nothing. What happens on the field pales in comparison to the level of importance to the generational future of the Oakland Athletics staying here in the Bay Area. What matters is binding vote season, folks. And what's next is on June 2nd, the BCDC will meet to go over the staff recommendation to remove port priority use from Howard Terminal, allowing the A's to build there. After that, they need 18 votes on June 30th to pass the BCDC process. It's critical. Every step in this process is now becoming more and more important. That is the season that matters, the binding vote season. I think about when my dad used to take me to A's games. I think about how I take my daughters to A's games. I talk to fans all the time. I just can't even imagine what it would be like if the A's left for Las Vegas. The generational value of having the A's here is huge. It unites everybody. You will run into people that you've never met before wearing an A's lid and have a whole conversation with them. You'll vent, you'll talk about other things, but it's just a generational value that you cannot quantify. It's not one of the things calculated here in the entire discussion or process. So binding vote season is critical. If they don't get that June 30 vote, could be Viva Las Vegas. Hopefully it stays Viva Oakland and they can stay here. But what matters is the lawsuits, the development agreement, the CBA, getting everything figured out, a deal that works for the community in West Oakland, a deal that works for the city, getting infrastructure grants that get everything fixed around Howard Terminal and Jack London Square. I've been down there a bunch of times. You can barely even walk from Jack London Square to Howard Terminal. The roads are chewed up. There's train tracks. There's no sidewalks. There's no way to even get there. They need to fix all that, whether or not they put the A's there. And Oakland is trying to get competitive grants. They've already secured a bunch of them to get that stuff all paid for without touching anybody's tax dollars. They're going to use the funds from the project itself to pay for the offsite infrastructure. Like, I'm tired of the misinformation, people. The project itself, the taxes from that will pay for the infrastructure. They're not going to raise your taxes. You cannot be left holding the bag in that scenario. It doesn't make sense. Right now, Howard Terminal, I was just there. It's a truck parking lot, a longshoreman training facility. It's container storage on the waterfront. It doesn't make any money. It makes about $70,000 in tax revenue for the county. Over $100,000 tax revenue for the city. It makes barely anything. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what it will make if there's a $12 billion development there. A stadium, housing, hotel, retail, public space, a theater. All the money coming in is what they're going to then take the difference in from the taxes and use to pay for that offsite infrastructure. That's how it's going to get paid for. It's a pretty good deal if you look at it that way, especially if they can get the rest of the grants they're working on. Remember, infrastructure is a hot item right now in the government, infrastructure dollars. And when you have a project like Howard Terminal that reconnects a city to its waterfront, that provides 3,500 units of housing, 3,000, I should say, including affordable housing, that kind of deal with a stadium attached to it is going to be a magnet for these grants. You could apply for grants for all kinds of things. You could say, I want a grant to clean up these potholes over here. But guess what? Potholes are not sexy enough to get a massive grant. You need a $12 billion development to get the attention and get those grants, and then use that money to fix the offsite infrastructure, the area around the stadium. It's pretty simple. So binding vote season critical. I think we will know before the end of the year whether or not the A's are staying in Oakland. And hopefully they can stay in Oakland. Tampa Bay can be figured out. And then they can build a baseball stadium in Las Vegas for an expansion team. That is what I would love to see happen. I think baseball should get in Vegas. I think it'd be cool. I just don't think they should rip a team out of their home market to do it. Get an expansion team. Take the expansion fee. That's a bunch of money for baseball. It fixes Oakland. If you can get Tampa Bay fixed, maybe put a team in Nashville. That would be cool. 2 party cities, Vegas and Nashville. That'd be awesome. Anyways, binding vote season, hashtag binding vote SZN. That's what it's all about, not the A season, but go to the Coliseum and have fun. It's nice. There's no lines. You can have a good time there. Don't forget to subscribe.